session of the Stay Human podcast. We are coming at you live and direct from Red Rocks, Colorado, the greatest music venue in the world. That's what this place is. And we are just super blessed today because I have one of my dear, dear friends here with me, Miss Gina Caputo.
Hey!
Now, you might not know who Gina is because she's not a super famous musician like I normally interview.
Aspiring.
But she is a super famous yoga teacher and one who I just totally love and admire. And we do the Soul Rocker yoga retreats at Soulshine Bali together. And we do the yoga out here, Yoga on the Rocks.
Red Rocks.
And Gina, I want to just take it way back. Where did you come from?
Well,
and I don't want like a place. I want like some metaphysical yoga answer. No, I don't. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up right outside of Berkeley, California, which explains a lot. Got disenchanted with the whole bougie thing going on in my little suburb. Escaped for a year as a teenager.
Wait, don't go so fast. So you were in Berkeley, like you were born in Berkeley?
Well, I was born in St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. And then
my dad got transferred to San Francisco.
Okay, so what did your dad do?
FBI agent.
Whoa.
That's not your typical answer.
That's not your typical answer.
Hey, wait. And when I was in high school, I worked at the FBI 2 summers. You want to hear the coolest thing I ever did?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a guy that was on the anti-espionage squad, and they were tracking some people that were staying at a hotel, and they had ripped up a note that might have been important, and one of the jobs I got was to tape it back together.
Whoa!
And it was like a grocery list, but I felt so cool!
So, was it like you were there with like Tom Cruise was next to you going tape.
The true story.
Was it like
Tom
that?
Cruise
Was it really exciting like that?
I think Tom Cruise was still in his like tighty whities doing.
Okay.
No, he was still doing. What was that?
Risky
movie?
business.
Yeah. But there were some undercover like Hell's Angels guys in the office next to me.
Wow.
Which was kind of cool.
Okay. And so at that time, how old were you?
Like 15. 16.
Okay. And that was probably the coolest thing that ever happened to you?
It was definitely the coolest job all my friends had, for sure. It was like pizza place or FBI.
You can tape pizza boxes or tape grocery lists.
Right.
Take your pick. All right, so let's keep it early. What kind of a house did you grow up in? Like, what was the house, but family? What was your family life like?
Pretty standard. Mom and dad, one sister, and then much later we got another brother.
One of those oops brothers.
Okay. Totally. But it's funny when you say what kind of house. Like it was a regular house. I have to say nothing too fantastic about the house. But lately I've been thinking a lot about. We were never in the house, like as kids, ever. And I think
because of all the surveillance in the house, and you just felt like if we really want to get real, we got to get out of here.
That's right, all the hidden microphones. No, I was just thinking, I was just camping, and I was thinking about how much, like as a kid, my number one thing was being a fort builder.
Wow.
And so, it was like as soon as we could get out of the house, we'd be building our fort for the day. We'd be in there, with all our stuff, and making up kind of storylines of what was going on.
Did you have to con mom into sleeping out there, or was it just like a given? Like
it was a given.
Yeah.
It was a given. You just like get that noontime PBJ, and you're good.
Yeah, nice.
But right.
Yeah. So as a kid, what was your house like? I mean, you're a pretty out wow person.
Yeah.
Was your house like full on like that, or was this something you rebelled into?
No, that's a great question. So my heritage is Italian and Irish.
Oh boy.
Which So that we were very emotional.
Yeah.
Very demonstrative.
Yeah.
Very talkative. And I definitely attribute that to why I have no fear when you just say, "Hey, sit down and let's do this podcast in 2 seconds."
Let's rock it.
Thanks for always making me do it.
All right. So let's fast forward a little bit. We know a little bit about your childhood and growing up. When did you find yoga, or what was the thing that drew you to it?
Well, it was a mistake, actually. Of course, a good one, but at the time, it was I was just trying to finish college, and I had like a half.
It was oops yoga.
Yeah,
right?
pretty
Okay.
much. I had a half unit left, and it was like, oh, what do you do? And like the PE classes were a half unit. So I took one called weight training, and it was like this big, beefy guy. You got to go back, though. This is before yoga was cool.
Yeah.
A big, beefy guy that was our weightlifting teacher. And there was a woman who was older than the rest of us in the class, and she asked him, and I love this woman because she had the courage, not being our age or anything like that, and said, could I start our classes with yoga? And I'm telling you, at that point, it was like just Lily has fallen on PBS. Like, it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
And the guy said, sure. And there we were with those mats that were like 3 inches thick.
Yeah, the wrestling mats, all
that have
cracked.
like exercises on them, you know, like calisthenics.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. So she would do like 10 minutes of yoga, and now I know it was like sun salutations. But I remember the first time we did tree pose, and you know, I was like working full time, finishing school, and I was so stressed. And we did tree pose, and I had this moment where all of a sudden I felt this like emptiness in my mind for the first time that I could ever remember, and then I fell out. But I said, there's something to this. No wonder this woman wanted to do this. And I never lost that little bookmark in my head. And so when my life got even more stressful, I said, you know, I need to do that yoga thing again. And that was the end of that. That was the end of that.
I love your teaching in yoga because you have this great way of being really able to drop into yoga in a sincere way, but not like a serious way, you know, and you keep it fun, you keep it funny. You're not so much about like, oh, do I have my exact alignment and triangle pose as much as you are, what is this feeling like in your body and what emotions does it bring up? So tell me about that. How did you get that, and why do you do yoga?
Well, I feel like at this point I don't have a choice. I practice because it's my medicine, you know. It's and frankly, it's my offering to the world. I really appreciate what you said because I try very, very hard to communicate exactly that. I don't think that there is a right alignment. I think that we make these wonderful and sometimes exotic shapes as a way to notice, to become more aware, to notice shifts and subtleties. And for me, those things translate into our lives. So when you're not practicing yoga, you have that awareness turned on. Like, let's say in a relationship, oh, I am noticing myself feeling slightly agitated at Jeff or Michael or Trevor or whomever. And before then, I just like kind of wantonly react. I can make a choice. And so that's, to me, I think the greatest gift that yoga's given me. But if you think of it through that lens, does it matter if your hand is exactly on your tibia or to the left of your tibia? I mean, like, let's get some guidance so that we're all kind of on the same page. But to me, it's that noticing what shifts. How do you feel when your arms are out versus when they're together? It's different. And so for me, it's a practice of awareness that translates into the rest of my life. And then as a teacher, that's the gift I hope to give my students, much more than flexibility or strength, even though those are also wonderful. I like for the yoga to show up in the rest of our lives. So the awareness is really key. And as far as the sincere and not serious, again, thank you for seeing that. It's because that's life, you know? It's like that's one thing that always kind of bugged me about the direction the yoga community was taking is very austere. And I realize that's traditional and I respect my roots. But it's not necessarily our lives today. And I love that we turn to humor as a way to survive. A lot of things that you've taught me and told me about, like the importance of there being joy and levity, even in the hardest times. So I think yoga, I mean, if you really think about it, step back for a second, we're making completely absurd shapes. And it's kind of funny. And, you know, we think it's all serious, but you got your leg wrapped behind your head. Like, that's sort of ridiculous. And so I love seeing the humor in things because then maybe you're sitting in traffic and you're able to see the humor in something, you know. So I think it's important to teach like we live and not create some artificial container of seriousness and controlled environment where everything happens just so. Life is messy, and I think our yoga practice can be too. And we come out laughing.
I think that's what makes our, you know, the retreats that we've done so special is that we're bringing 30 people like halfway around the world to a place they've never been to with a group of people they've never met before. And like in 1 week, people become lifelong friends. Like here tonight, there's 30 people from our last retreat that are here at this event that have flown in from all over the country. And I think it is that combination of really like we practice yoga in a very deep way, and people go through like really powerful emotions. But then we go swim and we do backflips off the pool that are sort of not very Greg Louganis like. They're sort of like, and then we
don't forget the raft races.
Yeah, we have raft races, and then we have fun, and then if somebody wants to drink a beer, nobody's going to judge them for it. So, what is it that allows you to stay human? I really feel like you have a really good balance on it.
Thank you.
But so many people, I mean, myself included, I get so stressed out on a daily basis. I feel like my humanity is being sucked out of me every time I look at the news on my phone. And so how do you stay human? How do you hold on to it?
The first answer that comes to my head is something that I think that you actually model really well, which is to always take refuge in being of service. And for some people, that's a path of philanthropy. For some people, that's a path of building schools and things like that. And I think that both of us have adopted a path of service that isn't necessarily what people associate with service. But I know how hard you work. I know how hard I work. And I keep turning to that. So when I get mired in my own stuff, we'll call it, I turn to service as a place of refuge to get out of it. And it's really about kind of like seeing yourself in each other and remembering that we're much more the same than we are different. And so it's really remembering that and kind of turning right back into how can I be of service to people today? How can I liked what Trevor said earlier about give somebody 5 minutes of respite from the intensity. Music, of course, is a great place of refuge, and your work is service to all of us. So it's usually that. I just kind of get out of my own little head and go back into like the impact, the ripples that we're making together.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Gina, how can folks follow you on social media?
GinaCaputo.com. If you're Italian, you know how to spell that already. If not, GinaCaputo.com. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado. I run the Colorado School of Yoga. Very interested in teaching people to be yoga teachers, servant leaders. And I'd love to see you anywhere in the world.
And a great Instagram. She's got great stuff on Instagram. It's always really fun.
Very not serious.
Funny, very not serious. And that's Yogini
and lots
on
of
the
food.
loose.
That's right.
Yogini on the loose. Okay. All right. So Gina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We got to get upstairs. We got 3,000 yogis. We got 3,000 yogis waiting for us up there from Red Rocks on the Stay Human Podcast with Gina Caputo. Stay